Time for a little bit of a rig update. This is my 4x4 short course truck. It has that new XR8 SCT that we wired up a couple episodes ago, and the 5150 3652 motor. Now, I thought that the little motor was going to be small, get super hot, not be able to really lug this rig around, and I was surprised by the fact that it works totally fine. Big thing that I did was I installed the 11-tooth pinion gear with the stock spur gear. This is a low C old SCTE 2.0, and it ran really well on the test track. You guys have seen the red truck in some of the footage from previous episodes, and it rips good. So it's covered in mud and grass and nastiness right now because Sunday we did a new track at the Peacock Pit, the grass track, and it got hammered on. But the reason that I wanted to show the truck today was I did a little bit of a field hack right here with my Wi-Fi Express. I had some field testing that I needed to do, and I needed to use the Wi-Fi Express. The Express is installed on the edge of my servo there, and the wire just runs, the antenna runs up the wire, and this video shows fan port over here. Now, the very first time I ran it, I destroyed the Y harness, but I needed to get the testing done. So I got a little creative, and I just jumped the back of the fan wires into the Wi-Fi Express harness. So you slide the pin out here. I'm going to show you. Slide the pin out of the harness, and you can actually get two wires down in there. So what I did was I cut the fan harness off, stripped the end of the wire, laid that down right along that void. If you know the top of these JST pins, they have this little void right here, and it's just enough room to get the wire laid down in there. And when you slide it back on the connector, you do it just right, everything goes in together. You have the fan running in parallel with the power. And then the big thing you gotta make sure is that this little plastic finger, when you do that backside push, gets all. Then this guy can plug back in. Super easy. And it's a little cleaner than having that Y harness in there, less wires flying around. You just have your fan go in there. And this brings up another fantastic point, is that generally speaking, I like to solder my fan wires directly to my input power. The fans will run a little faster, runs things a little cooler, but you also take the load of the fan off of the DEC, and helps the servo run better, helps your receiver run better, helps if you run a transponder that's more consistent. So it's real easy. You would just do the same thing as cutting the plug end off and then just soldering it onto the red-black leads of the speed control itself. Some of the speed controls are a little trickier to do that too. So not a lot of people are big fans of that, but it does help the fans run a little bit faster, helps them run a little cooler inside the speed control as well, because you're taking that load off the DEC. So there you have it, a bit of a rig update on my short course river that has had a very hard weekend of bashing through the bottom of the course. So came off the other side, almost alive. Got a drive shaft repair. My Shrike style fleet has grown. Have two of them now. One of them has the good old-fashioned 2205. These are 2300 motors, and these are the new 2405s on this guy. Set them up a little bit different. Camera on the back, camera in the front. I was having tons of angle. I ground these out a little bit so I could get a little more camera tilt out of them, and I was getting to see the bottom of these GoPro mounts, so I pushed it to the back to see if I could avoid that. The fly is about the same. I don't think there's a ton of balance difference there, but it just looks goofy when you set it down. A couple other minor updates. The professor got a 3D printer and he got a roll of TPU, so he's been making me flexi red parts. He made me some camera mounts, some feet for the copters. But overall, I've been loving the 2405s. These are the 2250 flavor, so a little less crazy horsepower than the 2850s that I have on my Voodoo rig. So a little more runtime, a little more, I'd say, easier to fly because they're not so crazy fast. And more than anything else, they're not destroying battery packs left and right when you do your full throttle runs. I've been hammering on these things. You can see they're good and beat up, but they still spin nice and straight. I don't have any crazy vibrations or anything like that. I've bent, which one was it? I think it was one of these. Here we go. We got some nice big dinger dents in this one. But it still spins nice and straight. Shaft is true. The only thing that I'm not a huge fan of with the new motor is the all right-handed threads, but I'll get over it. If you do run all right-handed threads, the trick has, for me, to not run knurled nuts on all 4 of them. Save your knurled nuts for your left front and your right rear. Those are the ones that like to loosen themselves when they hit something. So if you find yourself some knurled nuts and put those on there. And then what I did, I actually took knurled nuts off of my 2205s and I used those on my 2405s, and I used the normal smoothies on the side that self-tightens. Because if you've ever struck a branch with a knurled nut, it'll tighten so hard that it'll lock onto the prop and you won't be able to get it off. But on the side that loosens when you hit a branch, those knurled nuts actually help quite a bit to stop the nut from spinning loose and slows that whole process down. So at least all you do is get a loose prop and not a lost nut and a lost prop. So, couple rig updates there for you. The Shrike style fleet is growing. I like them a lot. I did manage to break one arm in a real hard crash, but my first experience with a modular frame and being able to replace that stuff, so that's great. So there you have it, some rig updates. Thanks.